Hello, Read 585. This is the second part of our Week 5 lectures. I'm going to briefly talk about upcoming assignments. Not a lot of information since there isn't a lot of assignments, and Assignment 3 Part 1 has its own series of screencasts that you should definitely watch to prepare you for that assignment. So first, starting with some good news. Stephanie actually shared this with me via email, and I love receiving good news via email if you have a second to send me some to include in an upcoming lecture. But she had a student she was working with for her practicum clinic sessions for Read 516, and this student has actually been making a lot of progress according to Stephanie. Reading has clicked on for her. She's finally reading books in the second grade level and passing the accelerated reader quizzes. I just checked her zone of proximal development from the STAR reading test on Friday, and she scored 2.1 to 3.1, even though she's been stuck in that 1.0 to 2.0 range all year. That is excellent news. Congratulations, Stephanie, and give our celebration to your student as well. Great news. Keep it coming. All right, week 5 readings. You have two choices for week 5. The first choice is geared more toward the elementary level crowd, and it comes to us from The Reading Teacher, a great publication you should subscribe to if you don't already. It is titled How an Elementary School Uses Data to Help Raise Students' Reading Achievement, and it introduces us to Westwood Elementary School in a suburb of Des Moines, Iowa, and basically they had a veteran principal who decided that they needed to make the initiative or make a goal to significantly increase the reading performance of all students, paying special attention to students whose performance was 2 or more grade levels below expectation. So, this is an interesting article because this is a challenge that is probably going to be facing my school here shortly, where we are making a lot of progress overall, but certain subgroups aren't making as much progress or growth as other subgroups. So that can actually put you on the watch list if your IEP students or a certain, maybe your ELL population isn't is stagnant and is remaining flatlining, then you could potentially be on the watch list for underperforming in reading. So this is exactly where this school found themselves, and so they developed a plan to implement a system to improve reading achievement. Another thing I love about this article is it's just a few pages, and they also highlight the use of professional learning communities to fuel focus on data and effective instruction. So that is a great article. The second article is Are Assessment Data Really Driving Middle School Reading Instruction? What we can learn from one student's experience. So again, we have an example of a school where there's higher percentages of students scoring at the extreme ends of the scoring scale. So like I was mentioning, something that could get you on the watch list potentially. Well, what they did was they took one student and did a case study, did a bunch of different diagnostic assessments, and then looked at the results of those to plan an intervention for that particular student. It's very similar to an article we read in 516 where the main point was we can't just assume that because they do poorly on a state test that they need phonics and decoding remediation. They actually might need very different skills developed. So it's very important to use your assessment, your diagnostic assessment data critically before just putting them in a decoding group when most people recognize that that's probably not going to meet their needs. So those are your options for reading this week. No participation activity. We will come back to that the following week. I want to give myself plenty of time to look over your Part 1 assignment. So, assignments that are due this week. The big one is assignment 3, part 1. That is going to be due on February 22nd. And then keep in mind, that's actually your only assignment due this week, but keep in mind that feedback to your colleagues on their professional documents is due on the wiki by March 22nd. So again, let me give you that timeline for assignment number 2. Your professional document should already be on your group's page. Please view Dr. Bauer's narration of how to give the feedback, and then by March 22nd you need to upload the feedback. And you know what, it says all of your teammates, but I just recently created a group of 5, and everyone just needs to give feedback to 2 of your teammates. So for most of you, that's everyone in your group, but for my group of 5, you just need to give feedback to 2 different people. And then May 3rd is when the final drafts of the professional development are due. All right, so here's our course wiki for that. You'll notice that I did update some of the groups. Group 3, you got a little larger, but again, you're only giving feedback to 2 people. So when you go into your project pages, right, you'll see that, here are your documents, right, that you posted, and then I made a spot, feedback for Kim below. So here's where you would edit, right, edit, and then you would go here and you would insert your file that is your feedback for Kim. Don't forget to hit save. So that is assignment 2. It doesn't look like anyone's given any feedback yet, but please do that soon. All right, assignment number 3. Again, there are 3 parts to this assignment. The first part is due February 22nd. Coming up, that is your data chart. Right now on Titanium is a screencast for how to use the data websites, and then there is also a sample paper in the week 5 block. Let me show you where to find those items because they are extremely useful. So here we are on our Course Titanium site. In the assignment resources block, that's where I'll be sharing all of the resources for the upcoming assignment. So right here, screencast on how to use data sites for assignment 3 part 1. Definitely check that out. Also, if you go in here to the assignment 3 folder, bunch of very important useful things. I just put a new sample assignment in there, so that would be good to view as well. And then that same sample assignment can also be found in what will soon be the week 5 block. Right here, here's that sample assignment, so please review those. So plenty of tools to help you be successful. Part 2 is going to be the narrative of your data, and then your data analysis. That's going to be due March 8th. Part 3 is your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. That is due March 29th, and that will be all parts of this assignment. Plenty of resources, plenty of screencasts to explain how to do this big key assignment for the course. After you submit each part, I will try my best to give you timely feedback on that part, and then so you'll submit part 1 by itself. Then when you go to submit part 2, I need you to give me part 1, which was already submitted, with part 2 added on so I can reference your data chart. And same thing when you submit part 3, you're actually going to be submitting parts 1, 2, and 3, all of it together. Which will be helpful for the scoring. All right, that's it for upcoming assignments. Just assignment 3 part 1. Good luck with that. Join me back so we can talk about our course readings from last week.